If you go to Taiwan, there's so many different types of beef noodle soup. Like every neighborhood has one. I can eat this all day. Hello, my name is Richard Ho of Ho Foods. We're making a Taiwanese style red cook beef noodle soup. Moving to New York, I couldn't find any Taiwanese food, and when I would be at home and had friends over and make this dish, it was one dish that really reminded everyone of home a little bit. So I thought that if this was the one dish that can bring back that memory for people, this is the one dish that I wanted to spend all my time thinking about. I boned out a fore shank and a hind shank. We blanch all the meat just to kind of firm it up a little bit. You can either boil this whole thing whole, or you can kind of slice it up into pieces. It's really up to you. Just let it go for maybe a minute or so. Now we're gonna start on the braise. The three main aromatics in kind of Asian cuisine is ginger, garlic, and scallion. That's our trinity. You want enough oil to kind of coat the bottom of the pan. I like to start with the ginger because, you know, it's really hard to burn ginger. Let's get that in there. And then scallions. I like this end because each piece has kind of more onion per bite. You want to cut it kind of as thin as you can. You know, I want scallions to melt in the bowl when I put them in there. So we're going to save these for a garnish at the end. Whoop. Garlic last. Just put the whole thing in. This is soybean-based doubanjiang from Taiwan. This is funk. It's got umami, and this is also a spicy version of that. So it's kind of chili, funky, spicy, and you kind of want to caramelize this a little bit. And here we have, you know, another version of this, which is kind of the non-spicy version of it, which is very similar, but it's soybeans fermented. And lastly, we have, this is actually from Sichuan. This is made with like broad beans, fava beans. And this is usually aged a little bit longer than those two. You know, if I'm using those two, are kind of like a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio of maybe a soybean-based doubanjiang versus a broad bean-based doubanjiang. You want to chop this up a little bit. So it just kind of breaks it apart and you kind of get a little bit more surface area. When you saute it, it'll kind of caramelize and it'll stick to the bottom of the pan a little bit. That's okay, you just don't want it to burn it. Then I'll add my rice wine. Once you put the rice wine in there, you really want to cook that alcohol flavor off. You're just using that to kind of deglaze a little bit. And then we're going to add a little bit of soy sauce. I mix a couple different kinds. I use some aged soy, some dark soy. I like a little darker in color. And rock sugar. So this is very home style. This is how my mom would make it. As I got older, I started making this a lot. I would meet Taiwanese people from kind of all over America. It just reminds them so much of what their mom made as well. The next part is take the shanks and put them back in this liquid. And you kind of want to saute these in that liquid a little bit. At this point, at the shop, we probably add beef stock just to make it even beefier. But at home, I think it's completely fine to just add water. All right, you want to let this come up to a boil, but there's a few more things we have to add to this too. Just a little bit of carrot, tomatoes, right? When we opened up the shop, so many Taiwanese moms came in, and I was always very nervous because I felt like they were my moms. Moms would be like, hey, you know what my secret is? Oh, apples, that's my secret. So for today, some apples in there. And there's one last thing we have to put in there is a spice bag. So we're gonna bring out some spices. Today we have some cinnamon, a licorice, one piece is enough. Goji berries, a little bit of sweetness. Szechuan peppercorns, not too much. Here's some fennel seeds. Just a little bit of ginseng. Great, and now we let this simmer. You know, this is gonna take a couple hours. You know, this beef shank's got so much kind of like tendon running through them. If you cook it to the point where you pinch it with your tongs and the meat falls apart, you kind of gone too far. You want it right before then where there's a little bit of a play. It feels like maybe a Tempur-Pedic pillow or something. So now we're gonna let this go for about maybe an hour, hour and a half. While this is going, we're gonna work on pickled mustard greens. It's like the one condiment that you have on this. When you're looking for mustard greens, I like this. They're really big. They call them big head vegetables. I like this part. I kind of like that crunchy sour bits. What we do at the shop is we just get a little kosher salt, you know, sprinkle liberally over them. These guys will crush them just to kind of get that fermentation process started. Make sure that you get salt nice on the insides. of all these pieces. All right, you can also see how this thing has softened up a little bit. But the thing is, after about a day, you'll see some water will come off and this will kind of turn a little darker green. And then after a few more days, it'll kind of turn an army green. And you just want to keep this fully submerged underwater the entire time. If you need to add more water, add like a salt water. And then after about a month, this is what they look like. You see that same shape in the middle? They're kind of this dark army green. And then we'll go in half. My mom said you always have to saute this no matter what. A little bit of Thai chili and some garlic. You can mince it or you can just slice it. Just smash it. A little bit of oil. Put that in there. This probably takes a lot more sugar than you think it does. We're kind of going for like a sweet and sour flavor here. I mean, ideally you want to put it in the fridge just to help cool it down a little bit. All right, so it's been about 90 minutes or so. We're gonna take out our beef shanks. They're not falling apart when I'm kind of picking them up yet. That's great. Nice. I'll just string this. Awesome. So now we're left with our soup. It should be super gelatinous. It should smell like all those spices that you put in there. This is another thing that my mom would do. She would always add just a little bit of soy sauce, just because fresh soy tastes different than cooked soy. And then she would add a little bit of white pepper on the bottom, a little bit of sesame oil, and then black vinegar, just a splash. You know, fresh noodles take about 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes to cook, depending on your fresh noodles. You can tell when noodles are done when they get a little bit puffy. So now we have our noodles in here. I'm gonna add a little bit of soup. Remember that beef that we had earlier? You see this is like a little squishy, but it's not kind of falling apart. So we just do a couple slices like this. I like them 1/3 of an inch. You can plate them however you want, put them on the side over there. At the shop, we make a chili crisp with beef fat. So this is like a beef fat based chili crisp. It's just tons of aromatics, a few different types of chili, some scallions, and then I like cilantro. This soup should be pretty intense in flavor. It should be like salty, it should be sweet. Not bad. It's got all those herbal flavors to it. Well, yeah, that's done just right. I think in America, people are still obsessed with tender, and this is kind of tender and chewy at the same time. That's what you want. You want that chew from the tendons, and you want the kind of like meat to kind of fall apart a little bit. Some mustard greens. It's nice. The hot sauce just gives it that little beef fat. We're mostly a beef noodle soup shop and sometimes a Taiwanese breakfast shop. And it's nice to think about one thing, because everything you can think about, like the hot sauce or the chili oil, you know, is beef-based because it's just for the beef noodle soup. Once in a while, we'll think about, oh, how do we get just a little bit more flavor, or just we want to get that texture just a little bit different. For the recipe, please click the link below or come visit us at Whole Foods.